folks, and welcome back. Today, or yesterday in fact, there was a bit of a chat going on one of the GT7 forums about the change from update 1.2. We were talking about the Human Comedy, the Major race, and I chucked up my video and said, this is how you do it. And somebody posted up, actually, you've got to take a little bit more of a look into this, because anybody posting a video pre-update 1.20 is posting old news, and the tyres have changed and everything's different now. You can't run the races the same way as you do. These YouTubers need to make the new videos. Well, for starters, you can see just then that this car's on hard tyres, but this race is a medium tyre race, and as I believe it, update 1.20 affected the graphics only of the hard tyres. There might be some slight wear difference, but ultimately it's how it's perceived by what you can see on the indicator. So we're going to do exactly the same as we did in the last race, but a little bit of a change. We're going to try and hit laps 31. Maximum laps done by me and others and my friends is 30 laps. But I'm going to try and run the pit stops. I'm going to try and run the laps. I'm going to do the extra fuel that takes me to do 31 laps. It's going to be on medium tyres. We're going to run medium tyres all the way. I haven't got enough bop to actually get these on softs, but could I run 2 soft tyre stints? That's the question. It's a bot race, so ultimately there's no PP level rating because they're going to change that. But if I run the second 2 stints, can I make softs last 7 laps? That's a question. If I run the softs, can I take 2 seconds out a lap more and get ahead? There's a question I don't know. But here we go. This is a demonstration just to prove that update 1.20 doesn't invalidate the majority of the videos that I've posted about races. But some of you are going to enjoy this as well, which do like to see my kind of racing, how I battle the AI, and I'll just give you a demonstration here about how to abuse the AI in such a way that you gain advantage later in the race. We're going to lean on them. And we're also just going to see how much change has been made to the indicator on the tyres, because I'm going to try and run 13, 10, 8, which will give me 31 laps. Let's see how we do. So, guys, down full house, here we go. We're coming into this first lap. We're just going to get past these 2 on the right hand side. We're going to try an apex and lean on that Corvette. That's the way to do it. I've had some great feedback over the last couple of weeks on the channel. I've got over 400 videos posted, all of the missions, all of the license tests, absolutely everything that could be a test. The only thing that I haven't done is the easier cafe mission, so we've got virtually everything done, and then we've started doing videos on the fortnightly challenges. I've already done this morning's that went live. So I've got gold on there already, and I'll take you to that video shortly. I'm going to make that this afternoon once we've completed this one. And then it might be the opportunity to go and do a couple of races again, because I do love this race, even though it's one of the hardest, and I hear a lot of people talking about this race and saying how hard it is. This in Tokyo. Now, Tokyo, I'm not going to big myself up, but once you get into this and you get the right frame of mind, the right approach, you understand what the game designers have done with the races. You can crack these in a couple of hours. You shouldn't be doing 10, 15, 20, 30 attempts to get these races. It's all about understanding what the game designers are trying to do, and I do know generally across the board, across the internet, that there are a level of people that really don't know what PD are doing. I'm going to rephrase that don't believe PD know exactly what they're doing, but I can promise you this game has got so much to come. And I'm going to call it a game because the minute it is, it's not a full-blown simulator, and it won't be until there's a certain amount of things fixed. But I have faith in this game. The racing is awesome. Online's absolutely, I'm going to use the phrase rubbish, but I want to use something stronger. Online is the pits. But you can go and watch somebody like Kai25, who is sat up there in the A pluses as an S race, and he races purely with people who are that talented. That's absolutely fine if you're that good. But if you're a D, a C, or a B racer, even an A, you're going to come across those people who are complete, I'm going to use a phrase, knobheads. They are just ruining the game for you folks, and if you do get into a contretemps with them online, back away, step away, be the better man. You'll just get the ban, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trolls, folks, they're trolls. But here we go, we're 2 laps in, we've got a 2:06 in the first lap, which is a pretty representative outlap. The AI already fighting, but we're up for 4th place already. We've got 3rd place in our sights, and we're on it. We've made progress, and this is the advice I gave in the last race. Do not hang about. Somebody actually commented on this video the other day saying, actually, this video you did, the last one, actually taught me where to take shorter laps, how to cut the corners, how far you can go. And I respect that. I do respect people for watching my videos and understanding and watching and really seeking out where I gain advantages. But I'm not trying to give you shortcuts. I'm not trying to tell you where to cheat the game. I'm just trying to show you what's available. So I will take some very, very, I won't say, they're not very, very, I will take some heavy shortcuts. They're very, very borderline. That's what I'm trying to say. They are almost bordering on penalties, and in this race you don't want penalties. So medium tyres on the 3rd lap, and you could already see there's probably about maybe 10% gone on the tyre wear. Fuel usage is not an issue in this race. You can run, I think it's around about 8% a lap is what we get out of it, because we can run 13, so it'd be 7%, 7.3% a lap. I can run 13 laps on a full tank with a fair bit to spare. The idea is, first stint is to run out as much of that fuel as possible, then only put in the amount of fuel you need. So I'm gonna, as I said at the start, I'm gonna aim to have 31 laps of fuel for this entire race. There's a couple of points in this race where I start to cut more because I'm trying to seek time. Here's a corner where you can really take a cut. I'm going to try and beat this RSR in. I'm going to keep the wide line around the top corner, but I'm going to lean on him, stop myself going off into the gravel. We're up into 3rd following Mr. Rubilar. We can borrow a bit more at that corner, we know that. I'm going to take a wider line into this corner. Not going to cut quite as much as I do in the past video. Just trying to keep the speed high in 3rd gear. I've gone a bit wide there. Mr. Rubilar is actually better than me in this race. He's very, very quick. First lap was a 2:06. 2nd lap was a 1:58.8. Where are we going to go? 1:57 it looks like. 1:57.4. So we're moving on, we need to get that down in the 1:56s, we need to really put pressure on Mr. Rubilar. Mr. Yamanaka there, he's 6.2 seconds out in the lead. And if you did see at the start, we were some 30 seconds behind, I believe, at one point. So we took 25 seconds out of the lead cars just in the first 3 laps, and we'll let that run wide. Mr. Rubilar's breaking away, but we're on different strategies, so it shouldn't really be that apparent in the first sort of sectors. Their fuel use might be greater than mine. They might be going 10, 10, 10, which would be a reasonable approach. And if you were to do that, you could do the same thing. You'd have better tyres for the first split. You'd probably lose less. What I'm wondering is, can I actually do a 14.88? I'd have to do a 15.88, wouldn't I, to get 31 laps. I'd have to make the mediums go. Could I run hards for 15 laps and then run softs on 8.8? Now there's a thought process. You'd be running slightly slower because of the hards in the first sector. So you'd be doing 15 laps on hards. As long as you can do a 2-minute lap, you've got to make up the pit stop times for the... Because if you can run 15 laps on a set of hards and one stop it, oh damn, but you wouldn't have time, would you? Because you'd run out of time at 29 minutes. Because you'd be doing 30 minutes on your 15s. And then your pit stops, best part is 40 seconds. It would be so close. No, it wouldn't work. One stop wouldn't work in this race, would it? So lap 5. There's the 156.9, so we knocked half a second off the last lap. Really cutting in, keeping that in third gear. I like to actually catch that later with second gear, but you'll see that. To fifth, down to fourth, third. Really take some of that curve just to smooth that corner out. Try and keep the car travelling straight, bit of a wobble. Ooh. And there's a corner you need to be careful of. If you try and straddle that orange sausage curb, you're going to ground out the bottom of the car and it's going to become unpredictable. I'll do that later in the race and you'll see it. And I don't recommend you cut that corner that much. But here we go, down into this one, getting 2 tyres actually onto the red and white at the bottom. We actually put the whole car into there later. Oh my lord, it's a bit fighty. Here we come. We're conservative there with how much we're borrowing. We can borrow more, but the idea is to keep Mr. Robillard in touch. We know he's going to pit on 10. What we have to do is make ground after 10 just to make sure we can sort of overcut him. We know we're going to come out after because it's going to be quicker. But what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and run lighter fuel weight and try and get better use out of the tyres. So if we run a 13, a 10 and then an 8, we should at least be equal on the second laps, other than not really filling up with fuel. And with the 7 lap stint at the end, we should actually be on super lightweight fuel and have decent tyres and take it fast to the end. But we'll have to see how much I abuse the car by sliding it and really affecting the tyres. Into lap 6, we lost over a second in that last lap. We had a couple of slips on corners, we ran wide on a couple. We weren't really aggressive, but we're still in touch. We're only 5.2 seconds off the lead, so we've roped Mr. Yamanaka back in by a second, but Mr. Rubilar's faster. He's pulling away from us. That BMW is an absolute monster, by the way, but I think fuel use is too great to run this strategy that I run. I ran a couple of other tests yesterday, so this just isn't the only one, but one of the reasons I'm doing this one is because it's medium tyres and not the hards, just to prove that you don't need to worry about the mediums. The mediums haven't changed aesthetically. Maybe it's just the display on the gauge that's just changed. We'll pick a race and I'll redo that video on the hards just for 1.21, because 1.21 happened this morning. It's 12 minutes of the race gone almost. See how much we've cut on this corner. No, we're not borrowing a massive amount yet. Just trying to keep Mr. Rubilar in our sights. Mr. Beauvoir is 5.5 seconds behind us. I believe he's running the Porsche. Mr. Rubilar has the fastest lap at the moment with a 1:56.793. He's 0.12 ahead of us on the faster lap, so he's good for it. He's actually going to give us a fight, and he really is pulling away. He's within touching distance now of Mr. Yamanaka, and if we can get those two to start getting together and fighting, maybe there's an opportunity for us to catch him, because it does happen in this race. Lap cars are key. They slow down the front runners because they're not great on the flags. When they get the blues, they don't really respond to you or them, and occasionally the AI like to do that caravan type thing, that chain of cars. Mr. Yamanaka's just pulled out a little bit. He's now 6.0 up. We were into the 5s. Mr. Rubilar's still pulling away from us, so yeah. Run a disappointing 1:58 back then. I think the best of the tyres has gone. I think you're getting the best out of any tyre at 4 laps. On the mediums, that is. But with that being the case, it's that understanding that the last set is going to be an 8-lapper. It's technically going to be a 7 because we're going to fail on the 32nd lap. But if this is a set of laps indicative of the final last 7, we're going to do well, I think. It all depends on how these boys up front farm it out, what stints they're going to run, what their strategy is. But that's great part about this game. You're thinking constantly, and you don't have the additional help of like a pit wall talking you through what they're doing. You know, you haven't got that you're thinking constantly about how the race is evolving. You've also got to concentrate on where you're putting the car. You've got to concentrate on your line, your braking point, and you've got to try and calculate everything else. It's a stunning race. They've got the balance. I think the bop is really, really good for particular cars. I won't say it's great across the range. I don't think you can use just any car to win this. But what I would like to try is I'd like to try it with a couple of other cars, and I think I will do that. I like the Corvette. Corvette's a nice and stable car. I think the BMW's already got too much fuel use for my strategy. Somebody said this morning the 911 RSR is a car to use. Well, I might have to try that. Lap 8, we're back into the 157s on lap 7. And we're almost at 15 minutes gone of the game. So we're halfway through, just over stint number 1. We need to keep the timings in these 157s if we can. If we're bouncing between 157s and 158, we're going to be good. We're going to at least give us a fighting chance at the end of the race. It would be nice to come out somewhere near the leaders, because the way Mr. Rubilar is going at the minute, I know he's going to be the contender for the front. Just trying to work out what car Mr. Yamanaka's driving. He's 5.3 seconds ahead. Can't really see him into the future. Oh, he's a 911 RSR by the looks of it. Is it Mr. Yamanaka? I don't know. I think he might be the Toyota FT1. Can't see it. We'll see it when we get to it, maybe. Will we ever see him in the race? I don't know. But as it goes, Mr. Robillard is keeping us at arm's length. We can't actually reel him in. We can't get anywhere near him. He's just eked out that gap. We're not getting a slipstream from him. We're not getting any aid, not getting any benefit. So here we go. 157.4 was the last lap. It's come down to the final bend. Just got that braking point wrong. It's just before the end of that last set of rumble strips on the right hand side. You've got to brake just before then. I'm actually waiting to brake on the end of it. It's just too late. A 158.2. We're on a 157 the next lap. Come on, Jimbo. Pull your finger out. Get it on. Cut that apex a little bit more. Get onto this. Oh, gone a bit wide there. For those of you wondering about the fuel strategy, we're just going to leave it on 1. That's something else we don't need to think about. We're going to wait for the red indicator to come up that tells us 1 lap to go. We're going to do that 1 lap, and then we're going to run it home, slam it into the pit box, change tyres, fill up to 10 laps of fuel. I might go to 10.1, 10.2 just to make sure we've got enough, and then we'll run 10 laps in exactly the same way. Mr. Rubilar just got the fastest lap of 156.793. We're not any closer. He's pulled out a little bit more of a gap, Mr. Rubilar now. Mr. Yamanaka still holding steady at 5.3. We're on lap 9. We're half a second down on the fastest time. That's pretty poor. We can only get better. But we're really now on to stretching these tyres. Potentially 4 more laps to do on them after this one. We need to get the best out of them. We need to run them long. And we're well over 50% now. 60% tyre wear gone by the looks of it. Looking at those gauges. And we cut a massive amount there. Did you see how much? Oh, maybe there's a penalty coming. I think we'd have known by now if there was. No penalty. Can't do that again. We can't cut that far. We have to be conservative. We don't need the penalties. It's the slowdown that kills you. There we go. I learnt brake before the end of that rumble strip, not at the end of it. So here we come through the line. We've done 2 cuts. We've got a braking point right. A 158, almost a 157. So come on, Jim, improve on that. I know you got degrading tyres, but the car's getting lighter. We should be accelerating faster. The car should not put as much demands on the tyres. Generally shouldn't, unless you're driving it harshly. had a bit of a wavering traction control there. For those of you who are wondering, we are running TC1. I'm significantly old enough, significantly fragile enough in my old age not to be able to want to break bones by having to react quickly to running no traction control. I haven't got that dexterity, that fleet of mind, that agility of hands and arms and feet to move from throttle to brake to clutch, etc., just to keep the back end from slipping out. So I'll run TC as just that insurance point. Coming down to the 20th minute. 10 laps in 20 minutes will be good. So if you can do 10 laps in 20 minutes, damn, you have to be so much quicker, don't you? To get 31 laps in, you've got to be running like 152s. That means you've got to make softs last 10 laps. You've got to do 10, 10, 10 on the softs. Unless I'm not fast enough, unless I should be running 156s. If I run 30 156s, I'm going to save 3 seconds a lap, roughly. 90 seconds that'll give me for the whole race, a minute and a half. It's got to be done, hasn't it? And there it is, lap 10, folks. The leaders have gone in. We're first place. I didn't spot that whilst I was mulling over. And this is what happens as you make your way through the game. You're concentrating on, look at that, I missed that apex massively. You're concentrating on the game. You're concentrating on what you're doing. And then this wild thought comes in about, oh, how can I do better next time? Can I run softs for 10 laps and run 56s? Giving me 2 40-second stops. Oh, that would be amazing. Could you run softs? That is the question. Do 10 laps on softs. I don't know, the only way you can do that is to find out. Wow. So we got an 8-second lead. We're running 103s at this point. We need to keep these times as quick as we can. We got 2 more laps after this lap to do. We need to keep them in the 158s if we can. An opening lap is a 158. We've done 4 other 158s, 3 157s and a 156. We really need to keep that pressure on. Mr. Miazano is behind us. He's 6.5 seconds behind. Just need to keep him at arm's length. We need to do to him what Rubilar was doing to us. Into the 159s now. We're starting to lose that element. We're going to have to try and borrow some more, so we cut a bit more off that first corner. Get into this one early. Starting to look at the gap now behind us on the overlay, top right hand corner. Where will I come out if I'm going to pit? I really need to come out in free traffic. Not so I can get the slipstream. We've got a number of other runners pitting there. So Miazano, Kukabun in Austria, they haven't pitted. Grady hasn't pitted, Suswillo hasn't pitted, Moreno hasn't, Matsunaga hasn't pitted. It's going to be really interesting how this pans out in terms of where I'm going to come out. Ideally I need to be within 8 seconds of the lead, that'd be good. I don't know how many people, how many of these guys are running hards and going to be running long. How much we're going to borrow here? Just a cheeky amount. Not a blazing amount, but... So this is lap 12. This is the last full lap before the pit stop. Fuel's at 10%. Got 1.4 laps of fuel left. There it is. Cut that apex nicely. Run it long and wide. I can run it wider than that. So when running TC, here's an interesting point to discuss. There's a certain point of steering the steering wheel when you rotate it that the traction control cuts in. So when you're coming out of a corner, as soon as you can get straight, the faster you'll get the full power. If you've got the steering turned beyond 3 to 5 degrees, you're not going to get the full power. So the idea is to get the car into the corner and get the steering to less than 3 to 5 degrees. Sometimes it pays to miss the apex just so you can keep the car straighter. Because the steering, the traction control will cut in between 3 and 5 degrees. Anything more than that, you're full traction control. You won't get the beans and the acceleration. So we ran 2 159s in the final stints. Cut that apex really well. We'll never see the lap time for this, but here's a good indicator here of where we are. 103 is, we're almost a second off what we can do at the fastest. So bit of a shocker. Braking on the end of that wall, really get down low. There we go. Use it as much as you can. Shorten that line. You're going to go slower, but try and use the width to run wider. Cut a bit there. There we go. What we don't want to see is a heavily eroded grass line through there. Still 5.7 seconds ahead of Mr. Miazano, so still can't see the boys that I'm competing with behind us. So there's the fuel warning. Brake before the end. There we go. Dip down, cut that hard concrete curb and cut into the pits. There we go. Click on the mediums because you need them. Don't click, don't change. That'll upset you. It'll mean you have to start again. Fuel we're going to take 10.2, that's the target. We're in. Mr. Miazano's gone ahead. Look at that, we get in with 2% of fuel. It's going up now. Cookabun in Ostra. Anybody else pitting? If they're the case, they're single pitters, they're going to go halfway. Yamanaka's gone ahead. Ordonez, Beauvoir. No sign of Rubilar. Fraga, Gallo. So we've dropped way down the pack. Got to catch these boys up at the front. That was a 241 in lap, including pitting, which is a real tricky one to work out. I suppose our out lap will look somewhat similar to lap 5 there. It should be a 157 something. We'll see how we do. Not forgetting the tyres are good. We've got the full tyres back, but they won't be brilliant in the first lap. You've got to scrub that newness off. Looking to brake on the end of the wall on the left hand side just before that sunlight. Dip down, use as much as that as possible. Run it out as wide as you can. So we're just catching up on our Spanish fellow, Mr. Lopez. Driving what looks like, and he's trying to spot it from back here. Is it an R8 or something? I can't tell. No, it's probably a McLaren. Dropped down to second gear for whatever reason there. And we're 36 seconds off the lead. which is a shocker. How can we be that far back? But that was the length of the pit stop. That pit stop was 40 odd seconds long. And we need to be starting attacking that time and getting that 36 down. So 1:57.1 that lap. We're into this chain of middle runners. It's the mid-pack, isn't it? We're on to lap 15. Second gear for that corner. Get that apex, run it wide. You can use all that curb on the left. You can leave the circuit there and come back on with no dramas unless you touch the grass. A very definite, positive, clunky gearbox in this car. You can hear it chunking. I think the car ahead, Mr. Yamanaka, is exactly the same car as we've got. And that was the guy that was ahead of us before we pitted. I just don't know where our BMW friend, Mr. Rubilar, has gone to. Oh, it's a Renault, the car in front. Whoa, that's tidy, isn't it? Don't want to squeeze in too tight. We're going to cut in, brake on the end of that wall. Mr. Sana, not a racer I've seen much of. Up in 9th place. Looks like he's in a Alpha Spec C, is it? Yeah, that's what it looks like. And then Mr. Moreno, don't know what he's running. Mr. Kukabun and Mr. Miyazano have gone to the pits on lap 15, end of lap 15. So they're running a single stopper. Mr. Enostra has continued on. Well, he's hardcore, isn't he? They've gone both to the pits. That was a bit abrupt. Holy Chipotle. Mr. Robilar is there in second place. He's just ahead. We're up to 5th after that flurry of pit stops. Mr. Matsunaga looks like he is in a Lamborghini. Yes, he is. It's that telltale green. So how we're doing lap times? That last time in traffic was a 1:58. Car's got 10 laps of fuel in. It's going to be heavier than it was, but it's going to be better because of the tyres being where it's at, and it's not as heavy as it was at the start of the race. It's got best part of 3-4 laps less fuel on board. Because not forgetting we had to have the fuel for the out lap as well at the start of the race, because it was a rolling start. Not that it ever matters in this game, it's just practically it would have had to have had that much. Cut that apex, cut this one, use the width of the track. Up to that end of that wall. It's always the same braking point, this one. I never really move my braking points based on fuel weight or tyre wear. I just try and balance things out, lift the throttle a little bit earlier maybe, but brake at the same points just to reduce the actual rolling speed. Ooh, that was an unusual slide. That's unnecessary wear on the tyres. And Mr. Inostra's gone in. He's on 8% of fuel on hards. So for him to do the full race, that's 27 minutes. He's genuinely not got enough juice in there he's not gone fast enough to get to the end and do 31 laps. But people have done 31 laps. Mr. Gallo there now has the fastest lap of 1:56.459. And if you remember from the first stint, our best lap was our 4th lap. The lap after this is the one where we've got to put the time in. We've dipped into the 1:57s again on lap 16. Lap 17 needs to be somewhere low 1:57, and then we need a 1:56 in lap 4 just to keep us on spec. And then we need 7 laps more, or 6 laps more in the 1:58s. That would be absolutely awesome. So we're running third place now. Mr. Matsunaga in front of us. Matsunaga. Oh, did you see we cut that orange curb then? And we managed to survive. We're still 0.7 of a second off our fastest split. But the lead car now is Mr. Rubilar, 6.2 seconds ahead. He's on his 10 lap splits, so he's only got 3 more laps to do after this one before he's in the pits again. That much we know. Let's see if we can hunt him down. We really need a good entry to this lap, so let's brake just before the end of the strip. We do. Get it in tight, run it wide now. Going to be a 57. It is, but it's better than the last lap, so this one could be a 156 if we're really pushing, if we're really on the gun. Mr. Matsunaga there pitted. How did he run so long? That's impressive. That's hard tyres for me though. There was an element of discussion about that the AI have a different wear rate to us. I think they just drive more consistently. I just don't think they try and set records every lap, because you're trying to hot lap this bad boy, just trying to get in fast. First split, our personal best. At the back end twitch there, we ran that too tight out of that corner. We didn't get up into 5th gear, and that shows because we didn't get the acceleration out of that 5th corner. Nice and wide there. Oh, we ran that curb. Don't like doing that, but that was a do or die move. And there we are, fastest split so far. So potential for a 156. Probably a 10th faster than our previous 156, which won't give us the fastest lap. But let's see how we go. Don't run it too wide. You don't want to be in that gravel. Cut this white one off the end. How much we're going to borrow here? We're going to borrow the whole lot. No penalty, no penalty, no penalty, no penalty. 24 minutes to go. I don't know if I eased off a bit too much there. Maybe we should have kept the barrel down. Kept the foot flat on the floor, maybe. I don't know if it's a 156, it might be a 57. It is almost a 158, so we let ourselves go there. We tried too hard. What we've got to do is try and relax into the laps. So as it looks, if you include lap 14 as the out lap, our 4th lap is the fastest of the stint. We don't look at the out lap time because that doesn't really count because it's a shorter stint. But there he is, we can actually see him now. He's 0.7 ahead, Mr. Rubilar. He knows we're here. He's got the same issue that we have. We're trying to run to the end of this race and he's trying to keep us in check. He's trying to keep that distance. He's trying to keep us behind him. There's nothing he can do at this point except put in equally fast laps. Behind us, Mr. Yamanaka's 2.9 seconds behind. Better line through there. Don't like cutting the orange curb. How are we doing on our stint time? Half a second up. Beautiful. This gives us a chance of a 156. Too slow around there, I think. Too slow. Approaching the last third of the race. We didn't borrow quite so much that time, kept the car stable, used the white curb on the left. We're still 0.185 up on that sector, so we're cracking purples each sector we go through. That was better through there, nice and fast. Spot the end of this curb, brake before the end of it. Got a little bit wide there, a little bit slidey. A low 57 would be nice. There it is, 157.1. That's great. He's only 6.1 ahead. We pulled a second out on Mr. Yamanaka. So on that last pit stop then, we undercut Yamanaka by 1 place. Mr. Rubbelaar managed to leapfrog Mr. Yamanaka. So the undercut for us, well, it wasn't the undercut, we were overcutting, weren't we? We were running longer. This time, we're going to do 21 laps. They're going to pit at the end of this lap. We're going to pit on the... Where are we going to pit? No, we're not. We're going to pit on 23. So they're going to pit 3 laps before us. And then we've got to chase them down. We've got 7 laps to catch them. The thought is that Rubbelaar will come out somewhere 5 to 8 seconds ahead of us. The deciding factor is just what cars are between us and them. What have I got to overtake? Let's look at the lapping situation. Looking at the top right hand corner now on the overhead. We aren't at any point anywhere near doing lapped cars. Those lapped cars aren't in the game yet. And we've got a pit stop before they come in. So those lap cars are only going to start to take effect in the final stint. Because there's a group of cars going to start to pit now, and at the end of this lap, waiting for Mr. Rubbelaar to take to the pit lane. This is where we've really got to make grounds. We need more 157s. There he is, he's in with 34% of fuel. So he carried way too much fuel. Way too much. But he could run this fast lap, this next set of laps. They could run those stints lower. There you go, all 4 of them. Mr. Fragger doesn't pit. So those 4 guys, they're all gone to the pits with 30-odd% of fuel. They actually only need to refuel to 70% to do their last 10%. So let's see where they go to. Rubbelaar's gone to 72, so he's going to run it lighter. Oh my lord, that means he's going to be much, much quicker. We're 11 seconds ahead of Fraga. Our last lap was at 158. We let the gas off. Beauvoir came out at 76%. So the 2 stoppers on the 10 lap stints, they're actually running quite tight on fuel to the end. I ran that wide, holy moly. 158.1, last lap. Let's see where we go on the stint. We're faster. Fastest lap to date. This is good. Felt that was slow. Felt that was slow. Just look down at the fuel. 18 minutes gone and we've got 19% of fuel in there. So we definitely got 2 more laps after this. And it was this stage I remember looking and thinking, ooh, how many laps do I need to put in? Are we on for 31 laps? I need 20 minutes. I've got 18. I've got 10 laps to go. There's no way in the world I can do this, but what I want to do is just put that fuel in. I thought I could miscalculate this, you know, and I could put 7 laps in and I can end up a lap short. I genuinely could, because am I going to pit on the 23rd or am I pitting on the 24th? If I pit on the 24th and put 7 laps of fuel in, Fragger's gone to the pits. So I pit on the 24th and put 7 laps of fuel in, or do I put 8? And I remember coming round this corner thinking 7, 8, 8, 7. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And that's when I ran off the track. And I think, don't fight the post, don't fight the process. It was going to be 13, 10, 8, giving you 31 laps. That's what you've got to do. It's 8 laps. Don't change the plan now. Don't run for 30 laps and put 7 in. It could be a tragedy. Don't do it. Just go for 8 laps. 8.2. 8.2. Top corner. But if I think about it, I'm not running the right strategy, am I, to hit 31 laps? because we only do 30 laps. I'm not running the right strategy. It's got to run soft, it's got to be faster, and I'm not going to get faster by running this kind of race, not in this way. I've got to do mediums for 13, and then can I make softs lap? Can I make softs lap 7 each? That's not going to be enough. They've got to last 8. Softs have got to last 8 laps, and they've got to be consistently quick laps. You know, that might be my next video. Well, it won't be, because I know what the next one is. I've already filmed it. But here we go. 16 laps to go. 16 minutes to go. We're into the 15th full minute. We've got a 26 seconds lead. There's the fuel warning. This is the last lap of this stint, and then we're going to refuel 8 laps. Even though we've only got 7 laps to do, we're going to refill 8 laps. We're just going to see what happens. It might be a mistake. Tyre wear indicator. Fuel tyres. Fuel tyres? Tyres look like they are best part of 66% worn to me. We got another 5 laps out of these. We've really hammered these tyres with less fuel. Definitely have. So based on the fact it's a roughly 40-second pit stop, we're going to come out best part of 15 to 20 seconds behind, I think. Mr. Miazano's ahead of Mr. Rubilar. He made that progress. He did the undercut back, didn't he, to Rubilar? Rubilar was out in front. Maybe Rubilar took on more fuel. He took 72%. I remember seeing it. How are we doing? We're in the 103s at this point. We're back in the 157s. We've run very, very consistent 157s, which is pretty good, I'd say, for an old fart like me. Another lap, roundy, roundy, round. Bit wide there, cut it back, clip this apex, that's the way. Still 26 seconds ahead. Now we're thinking about the pitting. Don't forget, take your tyres, 8.2 laps of fuel. Take your tyres, 8.2. That's also a thing I was thinking at this point. How am I going to get to the top of my current leaderboards? Maybe I should take 7 laps. I'm thinking take 7.2, take 7.2. No, take 8.2. That's the plan. It says 3% in the top left-hand corner. It said 2% at the bottom. What's going on, Polyphony? What's going on? Why have I got 2 different figures? Why am I thinking things are different? What number was it? 7.2? Was it 8.2? It's 8.2. Don't do anything else. It's 8.2. And then the world seems to be waiting. We were 25 seconds ahead. 26. Here we go. Miazano, Rubilar, go ahead. Fuel's going in. Here we go. Watching it. 8.2. 8.2. 8.2. 8.1. So we got 63% of fuel, and we're 10 seconds back. We've done well. So we've got Lopez, Miazano and Rubilar. 3 cars ahead of us. And there we are, they're there. We're all in the same stint. There's 13 minutes to go, give or take, near us, damn it. Here we go. Mr. Lopez, 5.3 seconds ahead. Mr. Rubilar, 10.3. Now we're running with the least amount of fuel that we've ever ran. That back end, oh, we just forgotten that the fact the tyres aren't the best in the first lap out. We are very, very light compared to where we were. Mr. Gallo still holds that fastest lap at 156.251. Is he in danger of us taking that fastest lap? Well, the way we've been driving, our consistency has been pretty good. It's not brilliant, but it's pretty good. We've actually been all over the shop with the 157s, but if you average it out, 157.4 or 5, that's not so bad. Now who's this in front? Mr. Yamanaka's a second behind us in exactly the same car as we're in. So we're not far off calling the right strategy, are we, if he's up with us? Beautifully through that corner. Mr. Lopez in the Renault, 1 point. Oh, we're catching it. We're in the slip now. Brake at the right point. Don't butt end him. Don't do it. Almost went too far wide. I do like the look of that Renault. You know, it's a tidy looking car. Now with the John Player Special livery would look absolutely divine. Got him there, didn't we? Caught the slipstream beautifully, and that puts up into the third place. Purple first sector. So our outlet was a 157.4, which is pretty representative of what we've been doing most of the day. Oh, we got into that too early, didn't we? Didn't borrow a lot there. We caught that nicely. Fourth gear, don't flip the orange curb. That's the way. I just looked at the mileometer on the car of 454 miles. That is, I wonder if this car needs an oil change, because you're doing 100 laps in this car every race. 100 laps, 100 miles. What are we talking about? We're not really making any inroads into Mr. Rubilar. Is 10.5 ahead. Miazano 7.441. They're consistently ahead. Less than 10 minutes now, back end of the car moving about. Less weight from the fuel. Looks like we're back in the 158s for this lap. Oh, 157.1, that's tidy quick. Let's see if we can take a second out of that. Come on. If we can't win the race, let's get the fastest lap. Does that mean anything to you, Mr. Dobster? Fastest lap wins. So Mr. Rubilar, he's pulled out to 11 seconds. And I'm thinking, we're done here, folks. We can't catch. Mr. Miazano's pulled out another second. These guys are flying. They've got really low fuel weight. They've got 4 laps to go. We've got really low fuel weight with 4 laps to go, but we're carrying an extra lap of fuel. We miscalculated. We know that. There's 44% left. There's 4 laps to go, because we're not going to do 5 laps in 8 minutes. It's not going to happen. But as I look to the top right hand corner, we've got 2 cars ahead of us, 10.4 seconds ahead. But look at that, there's actually tail enders coming into this now. They're running slowly. Tail enders could be the key to this. It could be an AI mishap. 10.3, so we took 0.7 of a second out of Mr. Rubilar that time round. Mr. Miazano, though, holding his own at 6 seconds. That time's coming down rapido. We're purple sectoring. Rubilar's down, back up to 10, down to 9, back up to 10. There's a pair of tail enders. In fact, there's 3 of them up there. We should start to get the blue flags. We should start to see that as we come around these corners now. Come on, 157.5, not as quick as it needs to be. We need a 156. A 155 would be beautiful. This could be the lap. Using the yellow, cheeky. 10.2. The leaders are with. The leaders are now with the back markers. He's 10.1 ahead. Let's keep an eye on that time. I'll concentrate on the driving. 9.8, 9.6, 9.5. Oh, he's stuck. He's definitely stuck behind the tail ender. He's not getting past that guy through the S's. 9.1, 9.0. We've took 2 seconds out of him almost just in this stint. 8.8. Tail ender's working in our favour. He's not actually made the pass. 8.7, 8.6. I think he's just passed him now. He's just starting to pull away again, back up to 8.7. Mr. Miazano down to 4.8 seconds. Mr. Fragger's actually catching us. He's actually made ground. Less than 6 minutes to go, so less than 3 laps to do it. Car in front's a tail ender by the looks of it. The lead car is only 5 seconds ahead. He's really struggling to get past the tail enders. Mr. Moreno in what looks like a Jaguar. Sorry mate, brushed you fine there as we came past. 2.3 seconds to Mr. Miazano. 1.8. He's not got past him. Yes he has, he's just made it. Mr. Huffman, the American in the Ford GT40. The new version. Ooh, I took tight line there. I had to judge him. Make a guess, take the chance. I ran at 1:57.0 last time round. Nicely. Looks like Mr. Gallo's satisfied with his fastest lap. He's actually got me clear there. I don't think I'm going to get him now. Tyres are probably just past their best. Got 2 laps to catch these guys. They're only 5 seconds ahead. Mr. Miazano, but I can reel you in first. I know I've got the extra fuel. I know I can keep my foot to the floor, the pedal to the metal, and keep pushing. Just hoping you come up on this Corvette. It looks like a Corvette. And you can't get past him. I've got your slipstream now. You're less than a second ahead. You took the tight line. Gonna go around the outside there. He's giving it up. Blue flags are waving. I'm with you, Mr. Miazano. It's 2 laps at the end of this lap. 4 minutes to go. With the AI just leaning on him, making him stop you running off the track and give it a bit more throttle. It's a bit like wall riding, but we call it AI riding. And wall riding, we know you get your points taken off you, so you got to be careful, boys. 2 laps to go. 1:57.5. Consistent. Are we quick enough? 4.8 seconds behind the lead car, Mr. Rubilar. He's always been the top dog. We've run a few laps in first place. We've led the race a couple of times, but Mr. Rubilar, if he can win this, he takes the points. He gets the biscuit because we took an extra lap of fuel. We can see that because down there, 23% of fuel. Did we actually take enough? That's the question. It says 3 laps remaining. We've got this and another, so we did actually take enough fuel to do that extra lap. Could we have taken softs though? That's the question, and run softs on this last stint. Don't know. I don't know. What's your suggestions, folks? Leave messages down below. What strategy would you run to run 31 laps? Can you run softs at the end? I don't know. To try and get those faster laps in? Don't know. Generally don't know. 3.7 seconds behind the leader. We are taking a second out of him a lap. We are cutting him back. I wonder if he's short on fuel. Oh, he's caught behind the tail ender there. They've just blocked him beautifully. He's not obeying the blue flag rules at all, Mr. Sana. Oh, I've picked. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. No. Come on, Mr. Rubilar, if you've got the gas, you can pull away from me, you know that, you're quick enough. But I've got your slipstream, I'm less than a second behind you. It's do or die, boys. I am not going to dive bomb him, I'm not going to bump him off the track. I'm going to win this clean and fair. If I don't, I'm going to get second place. I'm going to be clean. I'm going to be fair. I might lean on him though. I'm going to use all the track there. No risk of a penalty. And I'm going to get him into my favourite overtaking spot. And I'm going to lean on him and I'm going to push out all the way. Force him behind us. There we go. On lap 30. 50 seconds to go on the clock. Can't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, it's all over. 1:57's the dominant average lap time. No major change to tyre wear. Even though we're not used hards, we've used mediums the whole race. It'd be interesting to know whether hards, medium, soft, use all three tyres, would be the actual bee's knees. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Medium, soft, would that do it? Well, either way folks, we haven't got a massive amount of time left. This is just a video just to make to prove that no major tyre changes to your favourite race or your worst race or your hated race. We're coming in approximately a second half ahead of Mr. Rubilar. It's still possible, it's still a thing, even with an extra lap of fuel. Massive shout out to all of you for watching. Massive shout out to those of you that have subscribed, those of you that have liked. But I will tell you this, I only have 3% of the people watching are subscribed. And I don't think that's anybody's fault except mine for not making you understand the value of this channel and what it does for you. But there it is folks, there it is. Thank you very much and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.